So my question, as someone studying archaeology and biological anthropology, I've learned that moral codes and social norms have always been fluid, shaped by time, culture, power. So many ancient and recent societies embrace same-sex relationships and even the idea of third genders well before Western conservatism even existed. So when you claim that modern conservative values represent some kind of universal, objective moral truth, like you said on your chair over there, aren't you just defending a selective, historically recent ideology that erases most of human history and targets people who have always been part of it?
No, but can you point to me of a... And maybe you can educate me. Can you point to me a great power that endorsed same-sex marriage? Not cohabitation, but marriage.
Ancient Mesopotamia.
As marriage. As
marriage in its...
America's Supreme Court just quietly turned down a challenge to same-sex marriage. But here's the twist. That rejection may not mean what you think. Because behind the scenes, a silent legal movement is building. And by 2030, your right to marry whoever you love could be back on trial. Today, we'll decode the mystery. Not just what happened, but what could happen next, using history, data, and political science to map the future of marriage equality. In 2015, the landmark case Obergefell versus Hodges legalized same-sex marriage nationwide. That ruling wasn't just a legal win. It was a result of decades of activism, social science research, and shifting public opinion. But in November 2025, the Supreme Court, now dominated by a conservative majority, faced a new petition. Kim Davis, the Kentucky clerk who once refused to issue marriage licenses to gay couples, asked the court to overturn that decision. And this week, they refused. It sounds like a victory for equality, right? But legal experts warn, this isn't the end of the story. It might just be a calm before the next storm. On the surface, this case was a long shot. But its real purpose wasn't just a win. It was to test the waters. When the Supreme Court rejects a case, they don't explain why. That silence hides the most mysterious part of American justice. What cases the court chooses not to touch can be as powerful as the ones it does. According to legal analytics, the court receives over 7,000 petitions each year, but hears less than 100. So, why reject this one? Was it strategy, timing, or a sign that the court is waiting for a stronger challenge? Here's where the science comes in. Supreme Court decisions can be reversed, and it happens more often than people think. Since 1789, the court has overturned its own rulings more than 230 times. That's nearly one reversal every single year in U.S. history. And patterns show, reversals often follow shifts in ideology, new appointments, or major social changes. Right now, the court's conservative bloc holds a 6-3 majority. Several justices, including Clarence Thomas, have openly questioned Obergefell in past writings. So statistically speaking, the probability of a new challenge isn't zero. It's rising. Outside the court, something else is happening. Groups in at least 5 states, Tennessee, Alabama, Texas, Missouri, and Oklahoma, have filed briefs or legislative proposals aimed at re-examining same-sex marriage rights. They argue that the 2015 decision overstepped states' rights, the same legal path used to overturn Roe v. Wade in 2022. Their strategy? To slowly build state-level cases that climb their way back to the Supreme Court with a cleaner, stronger legal foundation. It's like chess. Each move looks small until checkmate. Let's look ahead. If current trends continue, new appointments, rising polarization, and local state laws testing the system, analysts predict there's a 25 to 35% chance that marriage equality could be relitigated by 2030. And even if it's not overturned nationwide, smaller cracks could appear. States refusing to recognize out-of-state marriages, religious exemptions widening, or funding cuts for couples' benefits. These are the subtle ways rights can erode, not through one big decision, but 1,000 small ones. But here's the paradox. Even if the court's ideology shifts, public opinion has transformed. According to Gallup, over 70% of Americans now support same-sex marriage, a historic high. This creates what political scientists call a legitimacy gap, when the court's decisions don't match the country's moral direction. So the real question isn't just, will the law change? It's, can it Can a government truly roll back something society has already accepted as normal, fair, and human? History shows one thing clearly. Rights aren't permanent. They live or die based on awareness, activism, and participation. The Supreme Court's silence today might feel safe, but silence can also mean waiting. So, as we move toward 2030, watch the signs. New cases, new justices, new state laws. Because the battle for marriage equality may have gone quiet, but it's far from over. Music swells,